I will be arrested for not taking a fucking vaccine. This is not a fucking joke anymore. This is fucking dead serious. I am fucking dead serious. These people don't know who the fuck they're actually playing with. Yeah, in a group they might come and fucking intimidate me and whatnot, but fuck, they do not understand what the fuck just one person like myself is capable of. They do not fucking understand. No fucking vaccine or mRNA will ever flow through my fucking blood. Never! I will fucking die fucking fighting for my forefathers and my fucking lineage. Fuck these motherfuckers!
All right. Am I working? No, I'm frozen on the screen. That's working, yes. Welcome, everyone. And apologise again for lack of streaming, but it's not for lack of working. Commander Rixie joining me in my top left shoulder, it feels like. Hard to tell. I've got mirror images of myself across Zoom, OBS, and it's actually quite disorientating. So yeah, what we want to do today is, rather than us talking about our efforts with vaccines, we have someone who's actually undergoing treatment right now, and I think it would be good for everyone to hear from that person, because in this instance, the individual was essentially bedbound. I won't say bedbound, but highly non-functional after vaccine injury. And so we're in a position now where we have strong data from severe COVID, now vaccine injury, and we feel confident pressing forward and suggesting the treatment to individuals. So what I'm going to do quickly is just remind everyone, if I do this, oh, we got no Charles. Scope. Bing. Yeah, there he is. Yes, we are ostensibly a charity of science. If you would like to follow me on social media, where I sometimes am, when I'm not working now, or follow, or yeah, what's it called? Where you write? Substack. That's the word I'm trying to think of. Follow Charles on Substack, Prometheus Drug, and hit the blue Hypno button. Send your appreciation for the stream and the effort that goes into bringing you this type of data. And speaking of data, if you are in the unfortunate position of having been assaulted by biowarfare agents of one form or another, you can send your blood to Synaptech Labs. If you scroll down, there's an instruction video and where to get the pieces of equipment from. I do have a long backlog of slides I need to get through, but I'm trying my best. And so let's get to the main. Before we start, Charles, how are you?
Doing good.
You should tell everyone what you've been up to.
Well, I mean, I've been in Tokyo for most of the last 2 months, working hands-on with all of the patients, and only just with this most recent one after the first week am I
Yeah, we had 1 week
concierge.
in the just before Christmas, and then it's been sort of full time since, back and forth. Hence the drop in streaming output. So again, we apologise. Let me try and bring on our patient because they've been patiently waiting. Zoom. All right, let's do this. So he just wants to be on voice. And we'll see if we can. Hi, do you mind if we just use your first name? Is that all right? All right, Jeff. So you're now streaming to the world. Jim, sorry. Jeff. Yeah, I know. It's just amyloids, dude. What can I tell you? So Jim, why don't you tell us about your condition to start with, why it happened, and the consequences thereof, just to give an outline of the state that you were in. Hang on. There might be an issue with sound here. Can you just try again?
Can you hear me now?
I can. It's whether the audience can or not. So I need the audience to give some feedback. And I think you might be a little on the quiet side, so I can bump that up a little bit. But keep talking, and then we'll get feedback as we go.
Yeah, I was in really healthy state in 2019, 2020. In 21, I was still healthy. 2022, I started having some pain. Then I started having 23, just debilitating pain, the whole body pain.
So just to stop right there. So you were healthy, you said, in 20. 21 was when you got vaccinated first. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And just tell people which vaccine that was.
That was Pfizer.
So I'm just getting feedback from everything should be okay with sound right now. But so let me ask you, after the first vaccine, did you notice anything?
Well, the first 24 hours, I got very sick, like pneumonia. It might have lasted 27, 28 hours. And then I was fine. I had chills, sweating, pneumonia. I probably would have went to I'm sure I would have went to the hospital if I didn't know I just had a vaccination. But I looked and it said, these are the normal side effects. And not being very smart about it, I didn't stop there. Proceeded to take the second one. Wasn't, I had a little bit of a headache. Wasn't as bad as the first trip. And then the booster, which I didn't even intend to take. I don't really want to get in how I took that, but we're traveling and we're worried that might get stuck in the country with COVID. So, I was asleep at the wheel doing all this. And
so let me I'm curious. So even though you had 2 vaccines already, there was pressure on you to take a third to travel.
No, there was no, and I didn't need to do it for work. I just thought, it was brought up to me like, hey, the variant changes. I was actually at the drugstore picking something else up, and someone told me the variant changes and stuff. You're traveling Dominican Republic, or going where you're going out of the country. you might want to get the booster. There's a booster available. And, without researching and even seeing if anybody was having any side effects or problems with this at that point, and that was in the fall of 21, I would have hadn't took it, and then I would say 6, 7 months later, I started having, um, pelvic pain, and I didn't have that prior. And then I just thought it was, just inflammation, whatever. Gradually, it turned into 23 into full body joint pain. I mean, everything. It was debilitating. I couldn't hardly function. I did, but then, by the spring of 24, or by the end of 23, I got really bad. I literally could not function. I was
So basically, you had a progressive um, vascular condition emerging that would it be fair?
Yeah, by the time I knew something was not right. My legs were purple, my knees were purple, my feet were purple. I did well. I should have go back because I started getting Raynaud's within probably 6 months of taking that, and I never had that prior. If I did, it wasn't very noticeable. Where like I thought it was an issue, or even worried about it at that point. Never even connected dots at that point, right? But then by the end of 23, I started digging like, hey, what's wrong with me? Something's not right. And then I saw, Dr. McCullough, is that his name?
Yeah.
Or Peter McCullough was saying, hey, this is what's going on. And then I just never looked back looking, and I found out way too much about it. And then I knew when I got my knees were purple, and the doctors were like, they couldn't figure it out. They were actually astonished, taking pictures. I mean, I started getting red spots on my hands. I started getting white scarring on my hands. They would do biopsies. I mean, there's not really any doctor that even at this point still don't even connect the dots. It's disgusting. But yeah, so vascular is certainly an issue. Neurological, I think my neurological is getting better. I'm not as much as a zombie. And it could be because I have eye damage from it, I think. You go to the eye doctor and, they say there's no inflammation looking in there, but I believe everything's still blurry. So that could make you neurologically feel different, I would think. I still have my feet. My feet have been getting better since I've been doing the stem cells in the eye, the apheresis. And certainly something biologically is happening in my body because everywhere I go, people even the head of the doctor is just like, wow, this is just astonishing what you look like. Now, I am still not what I used to be. I was just moving stuff around here and I get tired. I used to be physically fit and I would every day, but I noticed the last 2, 3 days walking is better. I'm making a slow progress. I certainly glad I'm here.
So,
and I don't think you go such from severe damage
just
to overnight. Just
no, of course
magically
not. There's a slope of recovery, right? It just there's a how quickly we can get you up it. But in terms of the vaccine damage, you say it was 6 months post. Was
Well,
that
it started. It wasn't full blown. I wasn't full blown out zombie bedridden for 7 months. I was just about bedridden, and that really didn't start until November of 23. But you got to remember, 23. I was in a state of chronic inflammation, like like my CRPs, everything's off the charts. I am. They told me I got diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, and I'm like, I don't have the gene for it. Like, why would I get that at my age? And I didn't believe it. I said, this must has to be something to do with the vaccine. I was perfectly fine before.
Mm.
And they wanted me to be on Humira, which I did. And then I looked at maybe what this thing can do to the immune system. So I stopped Humira. I
Mm.
mean, I got off it, and I said I'm going to deal with this on my own. And I've been everywhere. I've
Yeah,
tried everything.
so maybe relay to people what you have tried, for sure didn't work, and what has worked.
Well, it's hard to say what worked because I threw so many darts, right?
Mm.
I certainly detox. I've done Ebu probably a dozen times, and Ebu might have helped me function and fight. I can't say it didn't do anything. I don't think it might help someone with long COVID. I don't know if the spike from the vaccine, it would help them, but it certainly got me moving. Taking IVs of vitamin C and BCP 157, stem cells in Mexico. Um, that stuff got me moving to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a great depression. In fact, when I came here, I still very depressed. I mean, I don't know how anybody cannot be depressed when you're losing your life. Just because I'm alive doesn't mean I'm alive. You know,
Mm.
the quality of life is, all I'm concerned at this point now is just the days I have left is about living the quality of life. That's what I'm hoping here. And I feel like you're, I don't know if this is the whole piece, but it's a major piece, and it can be the whole piece. I mean, I'm praying that it is, right?
Mm.
But I definitely have amyloid. If I would have been tested and not been on triple anticoagulants, been on ivermectin and taken things to regenerate the cells, and I think I've helped clear some of the stuff for my body to function, but certainly it will not bring me over. If I didn't come here, I don't think it would get me over the fence. I would always be stuck on the fence or teetering just below.
Mm.
And I feel hope now that I can get
And
over the
if you had
fence.
to, what would be the prevailing reversal of symptoms that you would point at as being the most helpful here?
With doing it 2 times at this point,
Yeah. Well,
I don't think
well,
I don't.
first let's start with how you were prior to your first treatment, right?
I was I was certainly stuck somewhere in between zombie and depressed, right? Like there's a depressed state, then there's a depressed zombie state, and if anybody is going through what I'm going through, they can probably understand that you're just not normal. You're not present. You are basically you're basically just in this surreal nightmare.
Mm.
And I'm becoming more present. I think you've probably seen me what I looked like when I first arrived
Mm-hmm.
and what I do now. And people say I look 10, 12 years younger.
Yes.
That's a matter of less than 2 weeks. I mean, I can't imagine, you know, uh, me as damaged. This might help someone in 2 weeks. It certainly could for what they're seeing in me, but I'm coming from severely damaged and going broke from it, right? Like I've thrown everything at this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time that it got my hope back up, right? It's got my hope back up.
So, just to summarize, you would say that the impact of the first 2 weeks of treatment is after all the treatments you've done, and if we were to list them out, actually, it covers pretty much all that's available out there. But out of all of them, it's been the DFPA and stem cell infusion protocol that's helped you, that noticeably helped you from your own perspective. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think that the key with what you're doing here is vascular, and the vascular is cutting off the circulation to the organs in the body and causing neuropathy. It's causing inflammation in the very fine vessels. I even brought that up to my rheumatologist 2 years ago. I didn't even know anything. I'm no scientist, no doctor. I go, I think there's something wrong with the very fine blood vessels in my body. And he says it, it could be fibrin or whatever, but he goes, I don't think so. And I'm like, it's got to be from the vaccine. And he didn't think so.
Mm. So
So
that's another
yeah,
big difference between the United States and here is that they're non-judgmental about your vaccine status, and in fact are how would you say? I don't. It's not encouraged by it. It's the wrong word, but they're open to vaccine injury as being a possible factor in your condition, in many people's condition, and so they will treat you. They've treated you with respect, like they would any person who goes to a hospital for any condition, right? You haven't been scorned in any way by the
well,
elite.
I haven't been dismissed, or they look at skepticism. They look at, let's figure out how to heal you. Let's figure out how to get you better.
Hmm.
Um, that is just, that's everything, right? Someone listening. I mean, but even so, like, they're not being taught that people are damaged out there. I just don't know. It's mind blowing. It's like living in a bad sci-fi nightmare movie. I
Mm,
don't know how anybody explains it because it's
well,
very unexplainable to really tell you what
I
it
would
feels
say
like.
this though to people listening: if you are impacted, like Jim, um, it's probably better just to say you got COVID if you want to get some basic help. If you go round in the US or the UK and say the vaccine did it, it's very unlikely that you'll get a sympathetic ear. But in Japan, that's not the case. They will take you on your own word and treat you accordingly. So, just for the people out there, how did you feel for the procedure itself? Why don't you describe that as from your perspective? What happened? How did it feel? How you felt afterwards?
Well, the injection into the needle or to the neck the first time, it was a bit uncomfortable, but then then it's fine. Uh, nothing nothing that would be like I'd complain about. It was just a little bit irritating. The second time was a little bit worse. The pain it hurt for a few minutes, but it's basically painless, right? Like it's just if you anytime you put a needle into anything, you're gonna feel it, right? Especially
Hmm.
if you put it around your jugular or your neck.
Mm.
But other than that, I would do it 100 times over, right? Like it's completely worth it. I do feel like circulation's probably moving, my body's moving better. I mean, something's got to be working, right? Like the people from seeing me in 4 or 5 different buildings and different people. This is not like one person and not asking how I look. Voluntarily come out and are amazed, right? So biologically, something's happening in my body. Why? And I'm walking and I'm moving better. I went to the store, like I told you, and briefly look for clothes. And I haven't looked for clothes in 3.5 years because what's the point? I don't go out of my house, right?
Hmm.
Like you don't do anything. And I'm like, well, this is a day where like I kind of feel like, I mean, I tried stuff on. I mean, I know that sounds very minuscule, but like that means there's hope or you have hope back again. Like there's no other reason to go buy new clothes when you have no hope or faith that like this couldn't be working at all. Like I felt something. I feel something.
Well, that's very much like um, Tamara's case, and obviously we use her name because she's spoken out publicly, kind of like you are right now. But she was probably the worst um, injured by the virus that we've had thus far, whereas up to this point, you are the worst that's been injured by the vaccine. We have one person coming in particular who is, hopefully I wasn't on mute the entire time.
No, I just turned it up a little
Okay.
bit. It was a bit quiet.
But I guess the point is now we've had 8 patients, but in our 2 most severely damaged patients, we've seen the 2 largest positive
the effect is
impacts.
most dramatic with the more severe the injury.
Well, and so what she said was that when she got back and her family came around for Christmas, the rest of her family was talking about how different she was, how much better she looked, how much more clearly she was able to articulate herself, how much happier she looked. And now it's been, 3 months, and she's still feeling that way. And so, but it was, in her case, it was very much like you in the sense that this wasn't just a physical burden, this was a mental burden. And to know that there's some hope in that instance. I've said it before. What is the most common in patients who ultimately died from COVID in the hospitals? What was the number one symptom that meant that you were most likely to die? It was new onset depression and anxiety. So new onset psychological impact. And we've seen that over and over again with vaccine injured because it's attacking your brain, and it's even when it's not attacking your brain, it's completely disturbing your way of life. I mean, I know Jim and I have obviously talked quite a bit, and I was explaining to him, but I'll just explain to everybody else. I remember in January and February of 2024 when I was basically glued to my couch and couldn't move, couldn't do anything, could barely get up and use the bathroom. And over the course of time, doing a bunch of different things, I slowly started to get better. And in your case, you've had more severe damage. You were bedridden for a much longer period of time. And it is so hard. It's such a fight just to overcome that, the mental aspect of it. And so it's been very encouraging to see that physical strength start to return, but more importantly, the hope, because you can feel that your body is different. I know that's motivating for me as I'm currently waiting to try this myself. But it's just been striking, I guess is.
Yeah.
Well, I would agree. The mental toll. I don't care if it's a vaccine injury or a long COVID or a state that damages you so much, whatever disease it is. It doesn't even have to be from a vax, but it somehow mentally handling that from what we perceive to be the vaccine. I've been around COVID people that were sick that had COVID. Did that have any effect besides taking the Pfizer? I mean, I don't know. Like, all I know is I was healthy. I took these, and then I became really sick to the point where you're on an island by yourself, and you're on an island for almost 3.5, 4 years. You have to be a strong mental person to try to get through that and to keep it together, because I almost wanted to give up probably a half dozen times. You can go into such a dark hole. It's very hard to come out of. Like, I'm still in the darkness, but like people like you guys keep going and trying to help. I think you're onto something, and I've learned way too much about scientists, and in the next life I'll be probably a doctor like Kevin, or a homeopathic like you guys. I just feel like I've learned a lot, and this is my best option by far on the planet. From researching everything, trying everything, talking to doctors, Sweden and the world, I mean, everywhere. Um, the vascular, these cells are amazing, right? Well, first of all, let alone the apheresis, you're not putting stuff back into your body that is, I'm sure, contaminated. That's why I figured I was doing apheresis in the United States, which can help autoimmune and all that, right? Like, but if we're living in a different world than we are now in 2000, after 2019, that probably would have worked. But if you have contamination and you're putting it back into your body, by the second one, I'm like, for what this costs, I'm like, I think I'm just destroying myself worse. So at that point, I thought it was over, but I've never given up searching. And I told
So
Kevin,
I just want to help clarify for people listening. So 99% of people offering apheresis are it basically involves plasma exchange, where they will take donor plasma, pull out your plasma, and put in essentially a crowdsourced mix that, yes, very likely has some degree of contamination. And the DFPA approach here does not use donor plasma. It's essentially just cleaning your own and rejoining it back to the circulation after passing through specialized filters, in this case for neural autoimmune disorders. And so I think that's one thing that helps this treatment stand out from what everyone else is offering. And, well, you have the experience of going around the world and doing all these things, Jim. Why don't you tell what you've done?
I can tell you that I have went broke on it, or I'm going broke, to get to this point. And if I had to do it all over again, I would still, right? Otherwise, it's just giving up. And a dollar, you don't need to take a dollar to your grave. So my faith of searching came across you, and that's just from nonstop fighting. But to get back to the cells, I'll just get a little off base. But what I've learned about these cells and what it can do for your vascular endothelial lining that is clogged up, that is making the white marks probably on my skin, the Raynaud's disease, the neuropathy feeling in my feet, the painful feet when you get up, that is starting to get better. The overall inflammation, I do believe these are the best options in the world now
So
for this
when you're
condition.
talking about cells, just to clarify, what we're talking about is the stem cell growth factors. They're not cells. They're the
The regenerating of the cell factor, that they're not actually putting stem cells into your body, but what they're doing is regenerating them. And so after you clean a dirty fish bowl, right, like, and you put the fish back in, I mean, that's what the apheresis is doing. It's cleaning up the environment, and the cells are coming in and making your body, if I say this correctly, regenerate, giving the tools to regenerate them. They're not actual stem cells, but they enhance the stem cells to repair where the damage is, but especially into the vascular and into the very fine lining, and breaking down those misfolded proteins into your very fine blood vessels. But you probably can explain that better than I can. But that's what I've come to find out. And then not only is that, the SGF regeneration can help repair brain damage in the neurons and in the brain and the proteins in the brain. And I mean, those are both the two things that I deal with most, right? Like the painful feet and the hands, and it's vascular and it's brain. It's the perfect matchup to go do different kind of stem cells, or the stem cells that are United States. First of all, you'd only probably be able to do like a couple of them, and it wouldn't do anything for you. It would be putting old stem cells that are probably damaged already back into your body again. So I just feel like
10
I found the
times
right
the
one.
price as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, to come across the world, I mean, when you're already just spent your life savings trying to save your health, and you don't coming here and it's about faith, right? It's not hope at that point, like I told you, and I've become hopeful. I feel like there's people that probably can benefit from one. You know, if you just are got long COVID, a week here or 2 weeks here, but I think when you come as severely damaged as I have become and gotten, it was worth the investment in myself to stay another few weeks, right? We're only halfway through. And so I am excited to see what happens because obviously something biologically is happening in the body, right? Like even if you're getting an anti-aging look and whatever, that's not what I'm here for, but that tells me something's happening in the body that's benefiting it, right? I'm
Yeah,
not
so
there yet.
just to be clear for the people listening, when I arrived and first met you, you looked a very, how should we say, aged, late 50-year-old with onset Parkinson's and sunken face, hypermimia. After your first session, when I go back to the lab with your blood and I come back for the second, you looked completely different. It was night and day in how you looked, color in your face, your ability to, like I say, articulate was all orders of magnitude better than where you were when you first arrived. So just to give people, because I had a gap where I didn't see the day-to-day changes. I just got a data point and then waited a week and saw a week's difference in terms of treatment. And yes, it's very striking.
It's not. It's actually like the translator thinks it's like magical. The doctor in the hospital, I mean, they think I look 15 years younger. They all think I'm in my early 40s at this point, like looking at me, right? Like it's. I really didn't believe it either because like I told you, it's not the reason I was here. But I'm like, I was starting to feel better, so I looked in the mirror. I'm like, holy shit! Like I don't only look like I'm in my early 40s now. How is that possible in 14 days or whatever? Like to me, it's a miracle.
Well, medical science
Yeah.
with well,
Well, I don't know.
I don't want to disregard the numinous out there for helping guide us along, but in terms of what's happened to you, there's very concrete physiological mechanisms that we can lean on to say why X, Y, or Z has happened to you, and if you were patient number one in this instance, I wouldn't be doing this stream right now. It's because we've essentially done a phase 1 study with the amount of patients that we have, and like I said, I would like to get more severe patients lined up just to really hammer the overt effects. It's all right looking at biomarkers, etc., but to see the physical change in people is quite striking. And so, yeah, I don't think we'll be ready to publish just yet, but I'm confident in sort of saying publicly now that yes, we for sure have a way of making positive intervention either in long COVID or vaccine injury, and that's a good thing. It's not just stopping it; it's actually reversing age, basically.
We have a question from Bob the Builder that says, does Kevin think that this is just junk from the last 4 years, or is the body still spitting out spikes? And I think this is pretty relevant. So,
I think it's
because Jim has also done spike testing. So,
well, yeah, that's what I want to know too, right? That's why I did a test before I came. You know, my spike antibodies were 23,000
Mm.
in 24, and they wanted me to keep testing. I'm just like, for what? Like, I feel like shit. Like, obviously it's still there, but I did do a test of antibodies before I'd left, and I don't know if Kevin's got the plan of the spike. That's what I was asking, to see if it was coming down, because that's something we want to know. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows if the mechanism's just going to keep producing spike or not. Like, that's the $1 million question, or $1 billion, or $1 trillion question, right,
Well,
Kevin?
what I would say is, in terms of the physiological markers that we can identify, which is aggregates in the blood, there is a radical difference pre and post filtration. Now, we're waiting on tests and equipment to be able to sort of track cytokines still. Still working on that. But in this instance, it's sort of a moot point to be looking at those diagnostics when the change is so profound physically looking at you, right? So, what's the one thing that we can point out right now, which is quantitative in a way, is that the aggregations in the plasma disappear, and are they generated de novo, or are they a consequence of initial exposure and them just sort of building up over time? I'm still unsure, but what I can say is between DFPP PA sessions, you were in the second treatment protocol. In the pre-plasma, there was amyloid-like burden in the pre-plasma that has gone in the post. So my thinking is that there's a bulk movement of the plasma during filtration, and that's going to drag a whole bunch of these aggregates with them. It's coming back in clean, and then if there's more that are sort of hanging on to vasculature, they're going to then be washed off into the plasma again, which is why we're seeing the return of them in the secondary treatment. In the second treatment. And I would say the fact that you've had such a rejuvenating effect, those are the aggregates that were really lodged into the entrance and exits of capillary beds. And so I think we're moving them, but like I say, in your case, it's taking longer than 2 weeks, but the physiological change is striking, that you look like a different person.
It's literally, it's actually mind blowing when you think about it. If one person told you this, or two people, or if it was coming from you two, you wouldn't think much about it. But like I said, I haven't looked at myself much lately. I haven't, even over the last couple of years, really looking. But for that many people to say that, and just to say how much clearer your skin is, and even the head of the hospital is astonished on what I look like now in that short period of time. It's really just mind blowing, right? Like, it's mind blowing.
Well, actually, we have a bunch of people in the chat asking if we have before and after pictures. Unfortunately, we didn't get any before pictures of you, but I'm actually kind of curious if you have any picture of you from the last couple of years of your face.
I'll have to look and see.
Yeah. Since unfortunately we should have thought about that whenever you first got here, but because if we are able to show, you at a prior point in the throes of this, and then the way you are now, I think that'll be very helpful.
Yeah, I think well, we took Tamara's hands where we could see the difference, right?
Yeah.
And I just didn't think to. Next patient, I'll definitely do that. Is just take a snapshot of the face, and then do it like full frontal, and then just do a half and half comparison. Because, like I said,
Well, who really would have thought like you'd get that kind of change, right?
right? It was.
I mean, I'm 56 years old, and I mean, I did prior to 19. I normally looked younger than what I looked, but I know I didn't look well the last 3 years, but even that, so I mean, you never would have thought in 10, 12 days, because it started getting compliments, probably 10 days into this. You really never thought it'd be that dramatic, right? Like,
No, I didn't.
I
It
would
caught
just,
me out, and I'm one of the ones responsible for this project. And yeah, I wasn't expecting such a striking change in your appearance with this treatment. I was more, we're focused on the blood markers, etc., and where we can see something, but to see something in the whole person, that's really,
well, it makes you optimistic that maybe the vision can get better, the pain can get better, in which it is, right? Like, I certainly, I'm not, like, I don't want to give anybody the impression that I'm just back to pre 2019, but I've come a way out of the hole, and I would encourage anyone in the state that I'm in is to find a way to come here and try. Your life is worth it. You owe it to yourself. Can you financially do it? Even if you have to take a loan, you got to try to save your life. You're gonna die without it. I mean, you're gonna. I just, that's how I feel about it. That's how bad I've been and lost life. Right? You're alive, but it doesn't mean you're alive. You might exist, but you're not alive.
Yeah, which is what they want. They want you to curl up, shuffle off this mortal coil, die, basically, so you're not a problem for them. And, I don't want to drag current events into a patient discussion, but, we're ruled over by literal baby-eating bastards that hate us, right? That they want you dead, and had a big hand in making and investing in quote unquote pandemic preparedness and shots, right? That's literally all over those emails from this latest Epstein drop. And so they want you dead, they want you injured, right?
Well, the good thing is once the more we do this and the more we understand the mechanisms and we can prove the mechanisms, and the more eyeballs we get onto this, the more we can democratize it. And by that, I mean, once you scale it up, that's when you can start reducing costs by coming up with new ways to do it, to do each of these things, whether it's the SGF, whether it's the blood filtration. We're still in the phase of discovering how well this works, for how long this works, etc. And we're aggregating a lot of data, but ultimately our goal is not just to help anybody who can afford it right now. We want to make it affordable, so that way,
and paid for by the
people
people that
need it.
fucking caused it in the first place, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I see people in the chat, they're asking questions about, different, like how we might scale this up. What we'll be looking at grants. What are we doing? There are a bunch of things in the works. We can't really go into detail on those right now, but I can assure you that, and maybe we'll talk more about that after we're done with Jim. But just know that we are. There's a bunch of stuff in the works to that end,
and we can but try. And it's amazing we've got to this point, and amazing that we're turning people around in the manner that we are. And yeah, like I said, it caught me out, the dramatic change that you went through. I wasn't expecting that, and um, if I was, if I was more on the ball, I should have took a picture, but I didn't, um, which is unfortunate. But I will know for next time, and yeah, like it's a relief to me to have you relaying this response, right? Because what I get a lot of the time when I speak to people, I've spoken to a lot of people now through doing the blood work consults, is the despair that they have because they've tried everything. So I've done all the McCullough protocols, I've done whatever XYZ. I'm in this hole that I can't get out of. And now we have a way of throwing down a rope into that hole to help people out. And yeah, the cost issue is just it's the opening phases, people. And the more we can do it, the more data we can get, the quicker it will become available as a routine intervention globally. So is there anything else? I mean, what's your experience generally been like in Japan? How's that gone?
Oh, the to go across the world and to go to Asia, I've never been. I mean, nothing scares me at this point, right? Because it's my life. But like, I would have never ended up here. Um, I would love to come back here. The people are kind. The food is great. It's healthy. It's 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 a completely different world. It's a peaceful world. It feels like, even though it's busy. You're in downtown Tokyo, or not the way I normally live. The people here are amazing. Even though I don't speak Japanese, they go out of their way to help you. There's children walking around the streets at 6, 7 years old by themselves, right? You don't see that in the United States, and it's just like it puts a smile on your face.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I went to church this morning, and I walked back and I saw two of them. These girls must have been 7 years old if they were that, and they were touching the snow, and you could see the innocence and the wonder in their eyes. And it's just, you would never see that in the United States, where you would let your kids walk around like that. But the whole combination of the picture of those two in a big city, and it's just a different world. It's an amazing world. It's an amazing place.
Yep. And fixing people up where, you know, I mean, you don't have to say, but just how much, or give a ballpark figure. Like, you can use small, medium, large. I don't know if you want to say it, but just how much you spent going through those other therapies with.
It's a lot, right? It's I won't be able to retire like now. I mean, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Just imagine if you'd been able to get here on the first round.
Well, that's what I say, right? Like, I wish I could have just, yeah, but you don't know, right? Like, so when you're in quicksand, you're not waiting for, you're not waiting around to catch the rope, right? You're grabbing whatever looks like the rope.
That's a great analogy.
So I'm glad I just encourage people not to give up, whether it was long COVID or if you suspect it was vax injured or whatever it was. It's something new in the world, and you can't give up, because it's real easy. It can get real easy to give up. I've been there, but you gotta have faith, and you gotta have faith. I mean, that's the best way to put it. I don't know how anybody else, because you're gonna lose hope.
Yeah, you can get into some dark places. I speak to people who are very much in the position. Like I say, it's been hard my end because I could do a diagnosis, but I was unable to offer anything, or what I was saying they should try was not working. And for me, as a scientist, I just started to get enough data points around the EBU. I'm like, yeah, this isn't doing what it's supposed to do, and they're taking people for a ride with the therapy itself. And then, of course, there's all the nutraceutical.
Yeah, that part of it, like you're seeing everybody jump on there, but at the same point, I will tell you at the start of this, like going to California, and I won't mention where I went or anything like that, but I generally believe those people were trying to help me at the start, right? This was early 24, right? And no one was sure what was going on. And I think those people were, I think there's good people out there generally like yourselves that are really trying to help people. But these supplements and all that stuff, I think you have to take those to keep your immune system going up and everything like that. But nano kind of isn't taking this kind of damage out. Like it's just not. Like you know, it might be good. I think I'll stay on it. Nano's good. You're getting the real stuff here, but you need a real solution because, like I said, I've tried everything. This comes someone that was very physically fit before I got into this state, and I feel like I thought I mean, I thought I was dying. Well, I was dying, right? Like you are dying in that state. So
yeah, yeah, you didn't look too hot, bro, when you got here. That's what I say. It'll be a job to hold you back from going out and enjoying the nightlife.
well, I don't know. There, like that's why I say I'm still not there because I think that has to do. I don't know if it's the vision or my brain's getting better, but that's really and it could be being in such a dark place and not being in a relationship anymore, not interacting with other people, that probably slowly puts you in I don't know if I'm caught in that state, but I feel like maybe I'm turning it around that I can get out of that state. I don't really know. You're a specialist that knows that, right? But like when you isolate yourself in aloneness like that, in a very dark spot, and vision's blurry, and your brain's distorted, and your legs aren't moving, and you're stuck there. I don't even if I just think it takes time to get out of that. Besides, after you do this, like it's gonna take time for the body to heal. I mean, like I was seriously damaged. Um, so I don't know. Maybe that's part of it, right? But like something made me want to go. Hey, let's go look for some clothes. I that little thing seems incidental, but like it's very big on the way the mind thinks. So if you start stepping on that with this therapy, each step, you know, you try to get to the top of the mountain, I guess.
Well, I would just say you try to get through each day.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm trying to communicate. Like it's a step at a time, right? Like, but this is positive. This is positive. What's happening? So.
Well, and thank you for coming on, being willing to come on and actually talk about it publicly, because this is what other people need to hear. Hearing it from us is one thing, but hearing it from a patient is another. And so, thank you for being willing to share. I think it's really important to give a voice to the people who have actually been going through this, both the many years of hell, and then your process through this treatment. I think it's very important. So thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to see where I'm at in 6 months, right? That's the thing, where is it at in 2 months, a month? But it's positive. Like I said, I've spent on the money. I've looked all over the world, and I do believe this is.
Yeah, there's definitely no other therapy as comprehensive and as well tuned as this one. I would say, and that just comes from the years of having to study this, knowing what's out there and what works and what doesn't, and then following the clues where we have found effect on target. And the use of SGF, it was first demonstrated on the bench in the lab, right? That wasn't just a wild guess. And from there, you try in humans, and you have to be clear about the indications that you're treating, and making sure that the I hate to use the word the terrain in which those stem cells or the growth factors are interacting are as clean as possible. That's why the targeted filtration is so important, and the not using donor plasma, right? So it's only working with what your body has. And
So did Tamra come on a podcast with you? Like, I haven't listened.
so
Twitter Spaces, not
Twitter Spaces she did, and I would maybe like to get everyone together that has done the treatment, just to sort of relay their experiences to people that want to listen. But as someone who's sort of having to take responsibility for this project, it does take an awful lot of time. It's taken 2 people full time, and our plans have been turned upside down, because we were expecting for Charles' stay to be here to be much more lab orientated.
Yeah.
But we just sort of cracked open the valve to this treatment, and suddenly it just started happening at every point over the last 3 months. There's been someone here, except for 1 week, just prior to Christmas, where there wasn't someone who was getting treatment, and so that was 2-person job, not including the whole hospital team who were there running the dialysis, well, not dialysis, but the apheresis and the stem cells. It's a massive logistics effort that's involved to treat 1 person, right? I mean, when you're in the hospital, right, you're not just thrown in the corridor, right? You've always got 2, 3 nurses. There's always a doctor around when you need. They're polite. They're competent. That's the other thing. These people are very competent in what they do, and yeah, it's a nice small thing to do the targeting of the catheter the way that they do, and that, I think, that's a principal part of helping the brain heal, is that targeting into the jugular vein.
Yeah, and that's really what the most I want out of it, because I feel like the brain is, and your gut are your 2 systems that work your whole body, right? If you can get your brain back together to just start communicating with the rest of the body, and that's the key for me. I feel like the vascular, I feel like we're at the right spot for the vascular, right? I don't think there's a better place to go for vascular, and from what I research and from what I hear from you and from the brain, and like I said, I'm not fully there yet, but it could be that my vision is so bad it's making me a little bit disorientated, but I do feel more positive. Do you have the people that came from Canada, the person that was vaxxed, the 17-year-old? Have you guys talked to them how they're doing lately? I don't think I've asked you that lately.
A couple of weeks ago, but they were doing fine. And yeah, primarily it was the teenage boy who was the most symptomatic in that family. The rest were just essentially just going through the protocol, just because. Well, they had clodding signatures, and Ebu didn't work. They went to Alabama to try it. Nothing worked. Then they came here, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, it's night and day, the effect of the treatment." And yeah, it's a nice feeling to be able to know that I can say to people now, if you're having problems and you're determined to try and turn it around, then there is this. I wouldn't call it a silver bullet because you still have to put a lot of work in, but it's certainly all the indicators are there that it works.
I'm at the 2-week period, and Charles has probably seen me more than you have, although I haven't seen Charles in a week. I mean, those people did the same amount of SGF as I had for the first 2 weeks, right? Because it's only 2 weeks into it.
Yeah.
Were they changed physically dramatically as much as people?
Well, they just weren't as bad as you. That's the thing.
Okay, that's that.
So it's harder to pull out the changes. Yes, they looked far healthier and far better than when they arrived. But I don't know. It's just you're comparing two different classes of response in this case, and yours and Tamara's are striking because the condition that you arrived in was so bad. Okay, and to see, like, the only time I've seen sort of instantaneous type responses, and I wouldn't call this instantaneous per se, because but I compare it to sort of deep brain stimulation, where you put the electrode in the brain and it either works or you missed your target, right? And when it works, the change in the patient is immediate. You don't have to check whether the stimulator is on or blind the conditions. It's the effect is that clear. And in this case, it's just there's just a bit of lag, a couple of days lag, I would say, relative to deep brain stimulation in terms of turning a patient around. But the magnitude of the response after a week, 2 weeks, I would almost say it's better than deep brain stimulation, because in that instance you're not reversing Parkinson's, you're just stopping tremors and making it so that they can shuffle around a bit better. But question: did Jim ever get checked for venous compression syndromes? Yes, you did.
Yes.
And you even went through the...
I did. It helped with the leg pain a bit, and I think it improved the circulation. That's how maybe that's why I was functioning better, but like, functioning better is not better. That's just able to survive the fight. Functioning.
Whereas here, like I say, you're getting ready to put on the glad rags, go and do John Travolta.
Yeah, I really have hope now. Like I said, I have hope. I'm coming from a dark, deep, scary, still place. The blackest, darkest hole of evil. And I'm starting to see the light. So there's not much more you can ask for. I mean, I don't think you can be that damaged and be fixed overnight. But
No.
I can tell you that someone has spent all his money trying to save his life, this would not be wasted money.
Someone in the chat says maybe Jim needs some dopamine agonists. So I'm inclined to agree, and that's actually what we started Jim on when he got here. So he's using as well. So that's the thing, folks. When as part of the treatment, it's not just the apheresis and stem cells. Like you're getting consultations with a world-class doctor, medical team, and they make sure that your prescriptions are right as well to maximize benefit. And one of those was when I spoke to Dr. Kato was let's do L-Dopa patches and treat the neuropathy a little bit, and it's worked well. And would he be as better as he is right now? It's impossible to say, and you can't wind back the clock. But I wouldn't change the approach that we've taken. Right, this isn't a clinical trial.
Well, I don't think when you ask that question, would he be the way he is physically on the appearance of it and the upbeat of being more optimistic, right? You don't have that kind of physical change. There's no way I would have got this physical change, like cutting 10 years off in 2 weeks of your appearance. At least that's what I'm told, right?
But
So, and I
yeah,
see it. I mean,
I wouldn't expect that from L-Dopa. Maybe more effect on like the neurological side, but the again, you try to treat each patient individually, and they're all going to have their own needs, and but as a whole package setup, there's not much that we can't approach and try to offer solutions around. And I do think that the primary response is because of the apheresis and the SGF in this instance. The pharmaceuticals are just, I wouldn't say not doing anything, but it's just to make sure you're covering all bases. Basically, that's why we're doing that. So yes, he is getting L-Dopa, but the primary response is the filtration SGF in this instance. And again, it's striking. It doesn't. You have to. I keep saying it to people. You have to see it to believe it, because it's so striking. When there is this profound response. Like when I turned up for your second one, I was like, oh wow, it's a different dude. It's your twin brother come in for treatment, and well, it was yeah, and makes me happy, put it that way.
yeah, I thank you for it. So, hopefully that helps someone, give them some hope and some direction.
Mm.
And then we'll just have to see how it goes, right? Like 2 weeks into it, so see what happens.
Yeah, so my city apartment says, thanks for sharing, Jim. I assume that means you were stented. I was working with Dr. Vaughan in Alabama, putting off the stent angle for now, with the hope I'm getting out there for this treatment. Yeah, look, if you're thinking about stents, it's not stents that you need right now. It's proper filtration with the right filter column set and the SGF. Stents is I literally, I think, a medical grift in this instance. It's a low risk, high cost surgery that they can get away with and is chargeable to insurance.
Yep.
And that's why I'm very skeptical of putting in stents. But
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't have done stents, but at that point, you didn't know anything else was out there. You know, it's the blood from your leg to your heart, and would I have done it again, knowing now? Probably no, probably not. Right. So, but it's easy to say that now. You know, when you're a year back into this, think you're just about to die. You're going to do anything.
So it's a question: what are the rest of the meds and therapeutics? It's tramadol and L-Dopa. So and I think that's it. They gave you 2 prescriptions, right?
Yeah, and I've been taking tramadol prior to this.
Okay.
And it does seem like tramadol, even on my bad days when I wasn't even doing this, it does give you for I don't like I've been taking it for a while, even before COVID, for some pain, but of shoulder pain I had, but there is something to that tramadol, I think, that helps as well. And I know other people that have been long COVID or vaxxed or whatever you might have, that I've read people that tramadol helps a little bit. And I noticed it does make a difference when I take it, but like I was already taking it. So I didn't add it, but I know there are other people taking it, and there is something to that tramadol. Yeah, anyways, I don't know what it does for this condition, but I do notice a little bit of difference when I'm on it prior to coming here. So
So another question: would whole blood donation be a good alternative for mild cases of long COVID? You mean giving your blood away or receiving blood donation?
I would think both of them are no.
Yeah, I would just say don't do any. Don't put your long COVID blood in the blood supply, and be careful of any blood products right now. Is L-Dopa a better option than Cabagalin? I think L-Dopa is the sort of go-to in allopathic medicine in this instance. It works, but you want to get the treatment before all your dopaminergic neurons have given up the ghost, and so in those conditions, it's a case of sort of try, see what works, and then change. And in this instance, if you were stable for like 6 months, came back, and you say, okay, it's been good 6 months, let's just clear out again and do another intensive SGF round. I would then say, if that's been stable, try not taking that L-Dopa and see how that goes. But that's something, like, you have to talk to the prescriber. I'm not the prescribing physician here, so anyway, so Jim, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. Didn't have to do this, but I'm glad you did. It's better that people hear it from you rather than us sort of explaining
well,
secondhand.
I look at it as I was the guy or the woman on the other end looking for answers, whether it's for yourself or your child or whatever, right? And yeah, you hear scientists and doctors talk about all kinds of shit, but I want to hear it from the people that actually are affected by it, right? And hopefully that helps people.
Yeah, I hope so too. And you go enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'm going to wrap up here. I actually have a stream to do at 8 p.m.
All right. I see you next week or tomorrow, right?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yep.
Yeah,
We'll be
Tuesday.
there Tuesday.
Okay. All right.
All right. You take care, Jim.
Yeah, bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. So there you go, folks. Straight from the horse's mouth. And yeah, again, I don't think we could have asked for a better response. Shout out to Charles for doing a lot of the heavy patient side lifting during this when it wasn't expected. We weren't planning on doing this at all. We had we had a whole different plan in place. Right?
We kind of to build the plane as we were flying it, but it's we're getting there.
It's good analogy. But yeah, we're done it enough times now. It's sort of smoother operation, and of course the hospital has to adapt. They're dealing with foreign patients, and but yeah, it's worked out well, and like I say, just to see the effect in real time is, like I say, you don't get to see that very often in science or medicine. Such short-term changes, and all we can do is we hope that continues, and more people get it, and the more people get it, the better our data set will be. And right now, though, we're confident that we can remove the aggregates, introduce some regenerative factors, and take people who are in a dark place and bring them back towards the light in this instance. So, all right. Anything else to add, Charles?
No, I mean, I would say it's good to be back in the lab, but I'll be back in Tokyo tomorrow. So.
I know, man. There's so much to do here as well, and I've got to. I've got slides to do. I've got someone lined up for. It's supposed to be about now, actually.
Yeah, well, and I'll be going back to the U.S. for a couple of weeks just to see the family. Then I'll be back. Then we have more. The next patients all lined up. We have a conference in Tokyo on the 15th. They're put on by the IMA, former FLCC, that we'll be apparently speaking at.
Someone asked if we'd been in touch with React 19. I saw in the chat. No, we haven't. They'd probably be concerned about the nattokinase grift.
Yeah, that's correct.
How is Nurse Lindsay doing? I'm praying she's getting donos and donations.
Well, I just talked to her about 3 hours ago. She's doing pretty well, actually. She's a little bit more mobile lately. She's packing because she's going to have to sell her house, just because of her own personal situation. She's already got her passport, and actually, one of the things Kevin and I need to figure out is her plane ticket. So, she's definitely looking forward to being here, and I feel even better now that we've had this response with Jim. That that there will, it can't hurt.
Yeah, it can't hurt, and may just turn her right around. Like I say, it's it's a bizarre thing. Not bizarre. It's just sort of awe-inspiring to see that change. And like I say, I had a week between. So I saw him before his first treatment, and then came back for the second, and wow, it was just completely different person I was staring at, and even like the color in his hair had changed. It was that striking, and yeah, 10, 15 years younger, easy. All right, we're out of here, folks. I'm just gonna end it because I've got stuff to do.
Hi.
I need to do slides, so spread the word. We're healing and helping.